Hi everybody. So this is the lecture on what is occupation, and hopefully you guys have had a chance to read through chapter 1 of Willard and Spackman's Occupational Therapy. The authors of that chapter do a really nice job of kind of outlining, if you will, the complexity of the process of defining occupation and what that's been like for the profession. Using very nice applicable examples such as gardening as a child and how that's evolved in terms of meaning as an adult. So make sure you get a chance to read that, and then also in front of me and hopefully in front of you while you're reading through this or listening to this is the OT Practice Framework. Lots of good content in the preliminary pages on the definition of occupation, offering up several of the definitions that I've actually included in this lecture PowerPoint too, in terms of the varying types of definitions that have been offered for this term. So, without further ado, here we go. So within this lecture, I'll be offering several different definitions of the term occupation from some of the premier scholars within the profession, just to kind of help stimulate your guys' overall meaning of what this term encompasses. And I think that that's best represented by selecting and then going over and reading through and then just kind of dissecting some of these premier definitions of this term, which defines our profession essentially. So this first definition included in the lecture is that occupation is goal-directed pursuits that typically extend over time, have meaning to the performance, and involve multiple tasks. And this is from Christensen et al. From 2005. So this definition really starts to center and focus on the fact that an occupation is a source of meaning. It gives meaning and purpose to someone's life. In fact, Willard and Spackman actually stated that occupation can mean life to some scholars and in some sources. So have meaning to the performance is a source of meaning, occupation, and then also that occupations are a means of organizing one's space and the materials that they have to utilize in this space. So we get that from this first definition as well. This second definition is from Boyd, Shell, Gillen, and Scaffa, more recent, 2014. They are the authors of several of the OT textbooks that you'll be purchasing and using throughout your coursework here at the University of Mary. And their definition begins with that occupation are the things that people do to occupy their time. And I like that. I like the link between occupation and then occupy, the word root, if you will. Similarity there is very impactful for myself anyways, that they do to occupy their time and their attention, because you can do something with your time but it can be real mindless. So the adding of the term attention, I think, speaks to significance and something that is of interest to that person. They are meaningful, purposeful activities, the personal activities that individuals choose or need to engage in, and the ways in which each individual actually experiences them. So again, with this second definition, we see another example of how the term is defined in terms of organizing one's time as a source of purpose, as a basic human need. That occupations are a basic human need. This next definition is actually a combination of two different sources of definition that blends nicely together. Let me just go ahead and read through that. When a person engages in purposeful activities out of personal choice, so not being forced, but personal choice, and they are valued, the activities are valued, These clusters of purposeful activities then form occupations. Thus, occupations are unique to each individual and provide personal satisfaction and fulfillment as a result of engaging in them. I especially like these definitions because it emphasizes that occupations are a source of choice and control for a human being. So they exercise choice by choosing what they want to occupy their time with, and it gives them a sense of control over their own autonomy. And I also like that this starts to also pave the way, if you will, that occupation is a source of both balance in life and satisfaction. So from engaging in occupation, we achieve satisfaction. This next definition is offered up to us by the authors of the Canadian model of occupational therapy practice, which is one of the premier models that we will be teaching you about when you come to campus in the fall. They defined occupation as activities of everyday life, named and organized and given value and meaning by individuals and by the culture. So the influence of culture here is represented. Occupation is everything people do to occupy themselves. Again, occupy, which I gravitate towards, including looking after themselves, enjoying life, and contributing to the social and economic fabric of their communities. Again, we have reference to occupation being a determinant of health and a means of generating income now. Here's another definition offered up to us by Nelson and Jepson Thomas. Occupations are a dynamic relationship among an occupational form, so that means a task, an activity, a person with a unique developmental structure, so each individual human being, subjective meanings and purpose for that occupation, and then the resulting performance of occupation. So interacting, completing the occupation. This last definition is probably one of the longer ones that I've included in the PowerPoint. This too is included in the OT practice framework, and it really starts to lay the foundation, I think, really well for the basis of the OT practice framework. So it reads as: occupation is used to mean all the things people want, need, or have to do, whether physical work or physical activity, mental, social, sexual, political, or spiritual nature, and it includes sleep and rest. You'll find that in the practice framework as well. It refers to all aspects of actual human doing and also being, so related to part of your roles in life, becoming, who you're becoming, and belonging, implying the social context. The practical everyday medium of self-expression is occupation. Or of making or experiencing. Sorry about that, I got a phone call. Experiencing meaning. Occupation is the activist element of human existence, whether occupations are contemplative, reflective, and meditative, or action-based. This is Wilcock and Townsend, who've written together a number of times over the past couple of generations, or past couple of decades rather. And have really written extensively on the aspects of occupation in terms of being, becoming, and belonging, and the significance of meditative or reflective occupations. So I feel like this definition really describes human behavior in a nutshell, so to speak. And we start to get some reference now to being able to use it as a therapeutic medium. So this slide is basically a prompt for you to just pause now for a minute, look back over all these definitions, and think through, why do you think, hypothesize why you think that there is no one single definition of the term occupation adopted by the entire profession. Why do you think that is? And just, take some time to just jot down some notes. This might help you in an upcoming discussion post for this module or a future module, and it might even help you in terms of writing some of the papers that will be coming for this class as well. Here again, we have another prompt for you guys to reflect and think through the information you have just started to read about in terms of occupational therapy, textbook information, and then these definitions that I've included in this lecture. Ask yourself, start to formulate, if you will, a definition that seems to be the most true for you, that you gravitate towards the most. Like I've mentioned before, that I tend to gravitate towards those definitions that include the word occupy because of the occupation occupy similarity. So just take some time, and again, this information could be very useful for you in some future assignments. So next we'll switch gears to the OT practice framework working definition of the term occupation, which is clean and simple and succinct, which is necessary if you're going to have a document to represent the entire profession. So in simplistic terms, occupation then refers to the daily life activities in which people engage, giving you as a practitioner a really broad definition in terms of what your OT practice can all encompass. Occupations in the framework are categorized as either ADLs, activities of daily living, IADLs, instrumental activities of daily living, rest and sleep, education, work, play, leisure, social participation. And so I'm just going to briefly outline the tasks or some of those occupations within each category of occupation. Because this is good in terms of seeing it and hearing it. You'll also get this same information when you listen to the OT Practice Framework lecture series as well. So activities of daily living, which you'll commonly almost always hear shortened down to ADLs. ADLs are what you do to take care of yourself personally throughout the day. So personal cares is sometimes used synonymously with ADLs as well. Bathing and showering, toileting, toilet hygiene, dressing, swallowing, eating, and feeding. It also includes the ability to move about functionally, so functional mobility, meaning walking from my desk to the bathroom, to navigating your living space. Personal care device, or personal device care. If you require dentures, are you able to wash them and put them in properly? Personal hygiene and grooming, and then sexual activity as well. Instrumental activities of daily living, these are occupations that involve caring of others or pets, raising children, being able to communicate, driving and being able to be mobile within a community, financial management. They also include taking care of yourself, your health management, establishing and managing a home, meal prep and cleanup, religious and spiritual activities, shopping, emergency maintenance, safety and emergency maintenance, and shopping. Rest and sleep is a separate category of occupation. Includes rest, sleep preparation, and sleep participation. Again, education is a separate occupation with the breakdown of those specific types of occupations. So formal education participation, informal personal educational needs, informal personal education participation. Then work, which can sometimes be misperceived by the general public when we say, oh, what are you? I'm an occupational therapist. How often have I heard, oh, so you help people find jobs or find work? So this is that one category that kind of is symbiotic, if you will, with that misnomer that OTs only help people find work. But work is a separate occupation, obviously, meaning employment interests and pursuits, employment seeking, job performance, retirement prep, volunteer exploration, and participation. Play is another separate category of occupations, most commonly attributed to the early lifespan, childhood, play exploration and play participation, but that doesn't mean that when a moment occurs in my own household and my kids throw a water balloon at me, and I see one lying on the floor or on the ground outside, because I wouldn't do that inside, right? I wouldn't pick it up and engage in that playful activity with the child, even as an adult, and I'd still consider that play, even though I'm not a child anymore. Leisure, being another category of occupations, leisure exploration and participation. And then finally, social participation. So being able to participate socially with people within your community, within your family, and with peers or friends. That concludes the lecture on occupation. What is occupation?